Welcome to the booth of Concordia Seminary here at Houston. We're here because of the 64th Regular Convention of Lutheran Church Missouri Synod. We're in the exposition hall and we set up a little studio.
Impressive.
Impressive.
Yeah, it is.
And the price is right. Here we have the Reverend John Nunes, who is, let me get this right, John, the president.
Correct.
And the CEO
Of
Lutheran World Relief.
Exactly.
Well, we're glad you're taking some time to be with us. Tell us about LWR.
Thanks, Dale. So LWR is really an inter-Lutheran organization. We are supported by the Evangelical Lutheran Church in America and the Lutheran Church Missouri Synod, and that's who comprises our board members, 13 members, 8 from the ELCA, 5 from the LCMS.
And that's weighted by the size of the two denominations.
Exactly. And we work in 35 countries or so around the world, helping the poorest of the poor to help themselves work their own way out of poverty.
Give me an example of how that plays out.
So often, for example, what we try to do is we figure out what the impediment is that communities are experiencing to achieving a level of prosperity which will gain them just the basic things that they need. And then we provide them access to the opportunity that they need in order for them to execute business plans or things around water or things around health in order that they can lead sustainable, self-sufficient lives.
Could you give me some examples? You said water, health.
Yeah, so water's a big one.
That out,
so water's a big one. So we began working with this one community in West Africa, for example. And I mean, it's in the Sahel region of Africa, which is just below the Sahara Desert, one of the just most difficult places to live on the planet. And very, very dry, nothing grows there. And the women said to us, if you just get us water, we'll do the work, and we know that God will give the growth. I mean, you think about what your threshold of need is where you live, and that's what these women said, that's all we need is just water. So we were able to provide them with a water retention system so that they could use the water for irrigation, grow their crops, you sell your crops, you make some money, you get out of poverty.
How is a contact made in the first place?
Exactly. Well, one of the things that I think separates LWR is the way we work. We work with indigenous leaders in these countries who speak the language, who walk the walk, who know the people, who are from the communities themselves, know where the need is, and are connected to leadership within those communities. So it's often community-based organizations and faith-based organizations with which we work.
And your resources as LWR come from where?
Very diverse revenue streams. In fact, that's been as you well know, Dale, as you've led the seminary so well, the more diverse your revenue streams are, the better you do in difficult economic times. And so we receive a great amount of support from U.S. Lutherans, congregations, individuals, people who believe in the mission and support the mission. We get a minimal amount of support, about 15% or so, from the U.S. government. We get support from corporations and foundations. And we are one of the growing areas of our business is the new business development section, where we're becoming much more entrepreneurial and figuring out new sources, third source funding, besides just the traditional means.
So if one of our viewers wanted to support you, what's your website?
Lutheran World Relief is the name of the organization, so the website is lwr.org.
And they could find more information.
Absolutely, everything you need is on the website.
Yeah, one of the things that strikes me is in this day and age, when the institutional church is not respected the way it used to be, that ministries, helping people like you're doing, gains great credibility with people, especially with young people. Have you found that to be true?
Well, absolutely. You know, especially around this Lutheran Malaria Initiative.
Yeah, tell us about that.
Yeah, so, you know, I mean, malaria kills more people than probably any other single preventable disease on the planet. I mean, every day, 2,000 people a day die from this thing. 30 people every
2,000
a day. Most of them are children under the age of 5 and pregnant mothers. So this is a life issue. And malaria is a beatable and treatable disease. It's something we can do something about. And so Lutheran World Relief, in partnership with the LCMS, is working to raise $45 million to channel into malaria interventions all around the world.
Are the interventions difficult things to accomplish?
They're really simple interventions, things like bed nets, things like basic education. And we believe that by 2015, we can eradicate the threat of malaria on the continent of Africa.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity.
Tremendous. And you're marshaling a lot of not only resources, but energy to do this.
Exactly. And so the initial question was young people in their 20s and their 30s. And we found that this is a great way to engage that generation that's looking to see their church involved in a big global question to make a big difference.
And that's what I was trying to say before, is that young people want to see the church helping people.
That's exactly it.
A friend of mine told me, don't tell me what a friend I have in Jesus until I see what a friend I have in you.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing.
And so we are the hands and the heart of Lutherans all over the world, showing that Lutheran people care about people who are suffering around the world. And in a certain sense, we're preparing the way for the church then to come in with word and sacrament ministry and evangelistic ministry.
Well, that raises a good point, because in the way I was raised, the thing is the doctrine. It's true doctrine.
Right.
And we've been blessed to understand the Bible, saved by grace, not by works. You're doing works. Why should we be doing this? You already indicated, but isn't it enough to go to somebody and say, Jesus is your Savior?
Deeply woven into the fiber of our tradition is the fundamental conviction that all people are created in the image of God. If we believe this, we cannot stand idly by and watch anybody hunger or suffer.
It's love.
It's just that simple.
It's love.
Absolutely.
And if I read the Bible correctly, love is selfless. You do for the brother or sister what they need to be done. And it's not a pre-evangelism setup. You just love.
Exactly.
And in the loving, the opportunity arises to share the faith that is in us.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. What do you see on the horizon for LWR?
Well, I see great growth. We've had, even in a difficult economy, even in, as you've said, a difficult ecclesial environment, with the changing landscape of Lutheranism in the U.S., we've had steady growth. And we're actually poised now for great growth, I feel. I think with the globalization of everything, of all life, the world is just getting smaller and much more fluid in terms of the way communities relate to each other. And Lutheran, in their own self-understanding, are really seeing that we are citizens of this planet. As Lutherans continue to put their faith in action in ways that make a difference around the world, opportunities for ministry like the ministry of LWR, we see them growing. So we actually see considerable growth in terms of the engagement of U.S. Lutherans to make a difference around the world.
And you have had an activity or two on our campus, Concordia St. Louis. Was it quilts?
Yeah, we were really thankful. Thank you so much, President Meyer, for giving us that opportunity to be on. We had an in-gathering on your campus where, last year 378,000 quilts were distributed around the world. Quilts that are used for everything from flooring, for people who have no flooring, to walls, people who live in huts, to suitcases when people are sent into refugee situations, quilts that are given to people. And one woman received a quilt, and she said, "This quilt is the most beautiful thing I own. When I come to die, please wrap me in it." And so we're so thankful for those quilting groups and those quilters that faithfully and steadfastly, prepare these quilts. And we're thankful that at the seminary we had an in-gathering, and seminary students volunteered to load the trucks. And
how were they?
It was fabulous. It was very polite. You're doing a great job with those students.
Because I often
and very
wonder.
Helpful. No, very, very eager to help. Very, very eager to help. And they get the connection of good doctrine means good practice.
We have tried to instill in them this, don't tell me what a friend I have in Jesus.
Yeah, that's right.
Until I see what a friend I have in you. But I don't always get to see that, because you know how it is when you're a president. You're out dealing with this and dealing with that. So I'm very gratified to hear that.
In fact, can I ask you, since the camera's rolling, can I ask you if we can do this again on your campus?
You're using this opportunity.
Just if we can or not. I understand if it's no.
The answer is yes.
Thank you, Dale.
But there's a condition that comes with that. Yes, you can use us again as a staging area. And yes, you can come on campus and do anything you can to continue to get in the heads of our students, staff, and faculty how important this work is. So I want you to know, and the whole LWR organization to know, you've got a welcome place at Concordia St. Louis.
Thank you so much, Dale, for your great support, for your prayers, and for your personal support of Lutheran World Relief.
No, we're glad to do this, and we're glad to partner with you, John. In this day and age, John Dunn, no one can be an island. We've got a partner all over the place.
That's it. We need each other.
Now, Paul, you have something?
Yeah.
Our faculty has prepared this book, The American Mind Meets the Mind of Christ.
I've heard of this.
And it's a collection of essays on various topics, talking about how we as Americans think, especially about consumerism. You know, my value is determined by what I can consume. The person who dies with the most toys wins.
Yeah.
Person still dies. Well, that's the American mind, and the essays in this volume present the mind of Christ. So I would like to make this a presentation to you, John,
Thank you, Dale. Thank
because
you very much.
where the mind of Christ meets the American mind is an intersection, and you're standing on the right corner of that intersection.
Thank you so much, Dale.
God bless Lutheran
And you
World
also.
Relief.